This is not the news I was expecting to drop in June of 2024, but I guess sometimes it happens. Hot off the presses, kind of came out of nowhere. And the reason I'm making a video about this is to give a relatively...
Did you see any tweets by Evoli? Yeah, remind me after the video, I'll look at it.
Sometimes happens. I'm really bad about kind of doing a little ramble at the start of my videos. I realize. I apologize. Basically, in case you missed it, ex-Twitch employee Cody Connors tweeted saying he got banned because got caught sexting a minor in the then existing Twitch Whispers product. He was trying to meet up with her at a TwitchCon. The powers that be could read in plain text, case closed gang, with a follow-up tweet saying no one made the wrong decision, fuck him and his boys. This is a reference to Dr. Disrespect, who was banned from Twitch in 2020, very mysteriously. Let me give you a little bit of a recap. And to be clear, that ban, I saw some people who fully misunderstood this somehow. At one point, Dr. Disrespect was banned for a few days for streaming from a bathroom during TwitchCon, as in like walking into a bathroom while still streaming, which is obviously illegal and crazy. That was not...
I don't know what's wrong with me, but I didn't even know that like that was a bad thing. Because like I've been in like a lot of bathrooms and places and people are like recording each other and doing stupid shit. Even like whenever I was in high school, people would take videos on like their flip phone in the bathroom. Yeah, I didn't even know. Now, obviously it doesn't make it good, but like that, it caught me by surprise. It's legal though? Yeah, I didn't know that.
Not the actual final ban. That was a temporary ban. The final ban, we never actually found out why. This article from Dexerto is about the original ban and says, Dr. Disrespect was the self-proclaimed face of Twitch before being unceremoniously removed from the site, even though he's one of the most followed streamers on the platform at that time. Portrayed by Guy Beam, the personality's over-the-top 80s action hero character, an unrivaled production value made him a hit with viewers. On June 26, which almost exactly 4 years ago, 2020, Dr. Disrespect's channel was removed from Twitch, and reports claim the streamer had been permanently banned. This came just after the streamer signed
It's actually crazy how close it is to the 4-year anniversary. Holy fuck, I didn't even realize that.
A contract with Amazon-owned company in March 2020 to keep him on the site for the foreseeable future. And to be clear, Amazon lost a lot of money on this, especially because Doc still streams on a competing platform. More than 2 years later, the legal dispute between Doc and Twitch was resolved, with either party accepting wrongdoing, which is very interesting. But yeah, a really weird part of this was that he tweeted saying, Twitch has not notified me on the specific reason behind their decision. Firm handshakes to all for the support during this difficult time. It really did feel like it came out of nowhere when it happened. Twitch did eventually send out a statement saying, as is our process, we take appropriate action when we have evidence that a streamer has acted in violation of our community guidelines or terms of service. These apply to all streamers regardless of status or prominence in the community, but they gave no other explanation, and there were a ton of...
I just don't understand how, if he acted in violation, why did they pay out your contract? That's the one piece of this that I don't understand. Why did the settlement pay him out?
Streamers who came out saying things like he's trying to figure out what happened, he doesn't know what happened, he's trying to talk to Twitch. Twitch also refund all of the subscriptions to Doc's channel, and allegedly fully paid out his contract, or at least that's according to Doc himself. And then
do you know that for a fact? Yeah, he said that's what happened.
Extra weirdness. This was his... ended with him saying, I know it's tough.
Yeah, he can't lie. He could lie. I find it to be so insanely unlikely that he would lie, because I assume that lying about it would be breaking the rules. He can't. Yeah, I don't think that he would be able to lie, because that would also be breaking the rules of like the agreement.
Weird right now. We'll get through this okay, and fuck before abruptly ending the broadcast. Dr. Disrespect then sued Twitch over his ban during a live stream on August 23rd, 2021. The two-time claimed that he was taking legal action against Twitch as a result of his ban in 2020. He said, there's a reason why, and I'll say this right now, champs, there's a reason why we're suing the fuck out of him, okay? I don't know how else to put it, the amount of damages, and you just don't know, which... The context of this is a little different now. Like, if the context of this is, I don't know how else to put it, and you just don't, is referring to them reading private DMs, that makes a whole lot of sense. And around the time of this happening, again...
I think that's too much of a reach, that what he said is alluding to reading his DMs. I think that's too much of a reach for me to think like, oh yeah, that's the reason why.
2020 Rod Breslau slasher.
It's crazy that people still bring this up. And what's even crazier is that if he was told the same thing that was made public, he was actually right, and he tanked this for like 4 years.
Leaker posted saying, look, for several hours now I have been told from credible sources the reason Dr. Disrespect has been banned. However, due to the importance and sensitivity around the subject,
Cody's tweets are very sus. I'll look at it towards the end.
I don't feel comfortable with it currently. Slasher has also tweeted today saying, I didn't lie. Now, obviously, this is an allegation. This is not necessarily a fact, but this is from an ex-Twitch employee. That is worth noting. Yes. And a number of other Twitch employees have come forward and said things like,
I do not think that any of the Twitch employees are knowingly spreading false information. Now, they could have been told something and it's not true, but I don't think any of them are collectively, it's not like they planned, you know, in a group chat, let's go ahead and let's say this about Doc randomly on some Friday night. You never know? Well, no, I don't know, but I don't think that's what's happening. Of course I don't know. How could I possibly know that?
I'm so glad it's out in the open now. This one is from Zachary Diaz, who previously worked at Twitch, who said, so glad it's finally out there, which is basically in agreement that this happened. But then there is also this video, which is what...
Somebody asked, why do you defend them? They didn't show any proof. I'm not defending them. I have made it evidently clear throughout this entire topic that I have never made a statement about whether I think that it's true or not. I never said that. I don't know. I don't know what you want me to do.
Just watch this.
It's been a long time.
Please tell us.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
It's so long that the person involved is probably okay now.
My memory is really bad because this was like 2 years ago, and I was in Outpost buying a minicopter, and I remember someone saying Doctor's Disrespect got banned from Twitch because he was messaging underage girls.
And obviously, it does line up with what Slasher said regarding the importance and sensitivity around the subject. I refrain from going in. I don't feel comfortable. That's the part of this that I'm going to talk about, of why this has happened, because I do feel like I have a little bit of insight as somebody who's worked for two separate companies where people got fired for doing shitty things, and the public...
You can't make this kind of claim without presenting evidence. I kind of agree with that, and I find it to be kind of problematic that a person can come out and say something like this, because like it's really things are stacked against Doc. Because he can't say it's not true. And because of the, obviously, like the court case, right? So he can't respond to this in any way other than lawyer speak. But if he responds to it in lawyer speak, then people assume that he's guilty because he can't directly say that it's not true, because that would violate the agreement. So it's like he can't win in this situation with people that want him to lose.
Never really told what happened. People find it very confusing. There's a really, really straightforward reason for that stuff, but we'll get into it. Let me catch you up on the rest of the news first. So Cody is then retweeted by Jake Lucky, who said, a former Twitch employee has come forward and stated the alleged reason for Dr. Disrespect's permanent Twitch ban being for sexting a minor in the previous Twitch Whispers product, to which...
Which, by the way, I do not think that it is sexting a minor. I think that, like, trying to meet up with somebody is very, very, very different than trying to message them sexually. Like, these are all different shades of bad, but one of them is much more bad. Like, to me, that's a huge difference. Am I crazy for thinking that's a huge difference?
To which Dr. Disrespect responded, saying, Jake, seriously, I get it. It's a hot topic, but this has been settled. No wrongdoing was acknowledged, and they paid out the whole contract, which is the worst possible response to this, in my opinion. Like...
How?
The pieces add up, but I was still like, this unsubstantiated. We don't know what happened. This is the most damning thing I've seen about this, to be honest. Like, obviously, Twitch employees now
what should he have said?
Again, first-hand sources, or at least second-hand sources. They're not third-hand sources. They're not randoms on the internet.
They're second-hand.
This is a more credible piece of information than anything else we have. But this, no wrongdoing was acknowledged, and they paid out the whole contract. I mean, he probably legally can only say certain things, but not replying to this allegation with something like, this isn't true, of course I didn't do that.
He can't do that because it would be commenting on the nature of the trial. He can't do it. Like, I mean, you don't know that? So you think that... You're right, I don't know that. But I'm like 99.9% sure. That's pretty good, isn't it?
Seems nuts to me. Why would you say no wrongdoing was acknowledged? Because no wrongdoing being acknowledged just means legally nobody said anything. Like, that's such a crazy thing to say.
It's the only thing that you can say. I think that a lot of people, this is a problem that happens on the internet, that a proper legal proceeding for something is oftentimes not as exciting as Twitter drama that gets like, for example, like really good drama is like the Drake and Kendrick Lamar thing, right? Where like Drake is like, you're a fucking loser. Kendrick's calling him like a pedo and like a fake person, colonizer. Like that's an entertaining drama. It's intense. Emotions are high, everything like that. But the truth is that, I mean, in a legal case, I can't see a universe where he can comment. Like, what do you think the odds are that there's a clause in their settlement that you can't comment on the nature of the trial? I think that the chances of that are 100%. Like, I would bet $1 million that that's obviously in there. There's an NDA, yeah. Then why comment at all? The problem is that if he didn't comment at all, then people would be saying, why isn't he commenting? There's no way for him to come out of the situation ahead.
Good tweet. It's a good tweet, Connor. I get it. I don't disagree with you.
Yeah, it's a lose-lose, yeah.
I'm gonna need a stronger statement than that after the allegations trying to strike a chord, and it's probably a, oh no. No wrongdoing got paid, by the way, is crazy. Yeah. Say, Doc, I hear you like I'm young. This is the part that I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's way easier to just say none of this is true, actually, rather than...
Oh. There's no way. There's no way he can do that. Well, why are we carrying so much water for Doc? What do you think I'm saying that's inaccurate? Because I'm sure some people will have these comments. What part of what I'm saying is inaccurate? All I'm saying is we don't know precisely what is in the NDA. 50-50. So you think it's a 50% chance that he can't talk about it? You think a massive issue that not a single person on Twitch made any statement about in any capacity whatsoever and has been more tight-lipped about than anything is a 50% chance you can't NDA a crime, but a crime wasn't committed. He was never charged for a crime. We don't know that? Yes, we do. We absolutely do. It would be public record. 100% chance that it's NDA that excludes... 100% that he has an NDA that excludes him from talking about the broader aspects of the case. So you... I don't
saying
want to waste my time.
The legal wrongdoing wasn't acknowledged. They paid out the... It's just... What a wild defense.
It's not a wild... he couldn't say anything else. And he even said that he can't say anything else, too, in a follow-up tweet that he made. I'm tied to legal obligations in a settlement with Twitch, but I need to say what I can since this is the fucking internet. He literally said that. Now, he could be lying. There's a chance that he's lying. But in my opinion, I bet lying about the nature of the lawsuit is probably also against the rules.
And this story adds up in so many ways. Again, it adds up with Slasher saying, due to the importance and sensitivity, I refrain from commenting on it. I don't feel comfortable. It adds up with Doc saying there's a reason why we're suing the fuck out of him, okay? I don't know how else to put it. The amount of damages, and you just don't. Which to me really adds up with it being about DMs. So the thing that
personally, I don't think so. I mean, Doc, especially because Doc's a conspiracy Andy, right? Like, he knows about David Icke. He knows about Shungite. He knows about 5G. You really think that Doc doesn't think that people are reading his messages? A conspiracy Andy doesn't think that... Bro, he would be the first person to think that.
I wanted to talk about, again, that I'm just adding perspective to of why this stuff happens.
I
it's
don't
pretty
think so.
simple, but I see these questions so often and these criticisms. so often. So this is in response to Slash's I Didn't Lie. Someone here said, you allegedly knew about a terrible thing that happened involving a minor and you refused to say anything for years while he kept on streaming, potentially doing the same thing to others. This is not an uncommon rhetoric that I completely understand where it comes from when anything like this happens. There's also always a lot of why are you only talking about it now. I've seen some rumors that
my best guess on why Twitch didn't say what the reason is because the person who was in question either wasn't a minor. There's probably 3 different reasons or 3 different possibilities, and it could be more than one. Number 1, they weren't actually a minor. Number 2, they didn't want to cooperate with the investigation and they didn't want to have anything to do with it. So Twitch made the decision not to make it public out of the best interest of the victim, which I think also is like, is that the right decision? In my opinion, I think it's not. I don't. I think if that's the reason why they didn't do it, it's not the right decision. Even though it's helping that one person, it's also enabling a person to do it to somebody else. And I think that's more important. And the third thing also is that, what do you call it? That like, it just didn't happen, right? I mean, there's something else I was thinking of. I just don't remember what it was, right? So yeah, that would not have done that for Doc. Yeah, exactly. Twitch looks worse to me than Doc. Oh, right. Oh, the third one. Sorry, excuse me. Is it Twitch didn't say it because it might make them look bad? That was the other one. Sorry.
Theorized that the Twitch employee only came out
Twitch cannot identify a minor. Let's move on.
About it now because most NDAs are 4 years. There are so many reasons why someone would suddenly come forward. It could be they heard that he had done something else, that they got frustrated with seeing somebody successful. They can just be like, they got too many questions and finally cracked because they got the 1,000th question about it. Like, there's so many reasons that somebody would try to hold something in for a really long time and then suddenly snap. It could be that the minor turned 18. Like, it could be any combination of things. It's never been confusing to me that somebody would suddenly choose to come forward about something. If you've ever held a secret... And then...
I don't think that the timing has any relevance. Maybe this is a hot take. I don't think that the timing has any relevance of, like, an NDA. I don't think it had any relevance of anything else. And the reason why I don't think it had any relevance of an NDA is that Cody didn't specify Dr. Disrespect, and I think the reason why was to avoid a defamation case. I think that's the reason why he didn't say Doc's name, and that's the reason why nobody named him. And you can't sue somebody for defamation on something that was found to be true, which implies that it probably wasn't the NDA. That's just that's the way the logic fits together.
Eventually given in and finally told someone, you understand that. It's like a very normal human thing. But this part is the part that I wanted to talk about. That, again, is not uncommon, and I understand where it comes from, but I have perspective on this. Again, very simple. It's not like I'm telling you anything revolutionary. I'm sure I'm going to upset some people by even saying it. But the reality is, if something like this happens, and for some reason, everyone is very quiet about it. Somebody gets outed from a company, everyone is very quiet about it. It's because somebody else is being protected 100% of the time. Or at least 100% of the time that this has happened at companies that I've worked at, which has happened twice. 2 people have been ousted. Nobody really gave all of the details. It was because other people were being protected. In this instance, if all of this is true, again, it is still alleged, it would be that they...
In protecting that other person, you also protect the person who is the bad actor. And I think that this is like, it's an interesting kind of like trolley question or like moral quandary. It's like, do you protect the interests of the person who is the victim, or do you try to prevent the bad thing from happening again by letting everybody know? Now, personally, I think that it's best to let people know and to be public about it, because that helps the most people. That's the way that I see it. This is a moral question. I think that this is the morally right thing to do. I'm sure that there are other people that disagree, but that's where that's hard choice, not for me. To be honest with you, it's an instant fucking decision. I wouldn't even think about it for 3 seconds.
Were desperately trying to protect whoever this minor is. likely that whoever this person was had desperately asked them not to say anything, had said, please do not make this public because it will make someone's life living hell. Like, for all people pretend innocent until proven guilty, you can have all the proof in the world and share all the proof in the world. I've watched women on the internet do that. Like, share DM screenshots, share tons and tons and tons of proof, and still the whole rest of their lives will be, you destroyed this man's career, you were asking for it, look at this picture that you've posted.
She's right, but the opposite is also true. That people are trying to destroy Doc's career right now with the exact opposite. Zero proof. You're always going to have extremists that have, in general, most of the time, unresolved personal trauma that come into these different internet issues and internet problems and try to insert themselves into the issue and push what they think is congruent with their worldview.
Look at the way you dress. Clearly, you wanted that attention from this dude. Like, it can follow
I also don't think that's true entirely, because you're always going to have, like, for example, there's still people that believe the earth is flat. Should we make a decision based off of that? Also, Twitch could have said that it happened, but not named the person who it happened to. So I don't really see that being the case either. I think that in a lot of cases, there are girls that come forward and a lot of people believe them. And yeah, you're always going to have bad actors and trolls, but the majority of people are massively sympathetic. And they are, like, publicly, the majority is on their side almost every time. Even in cases where I think it's, like, a little bit unreasonable, like the George Not Found thing.
You're around and haunt you forever.
You see this, by the way? I'll look at it.
I've watched it happen to other people. Where the minute that there's even an inkling of it being public, the person who's already, like, dealt with sexual harassment, some cases sexual assault, whatever else, regular harassment, whatever other thing, that will chase them on the internet forever. Usually to a much worse extent than the comparatively very successful perpetrator. Usually the people who do these things are in pretty significant positions of power. That's why they feel comfortable doing so. Especially blatantly if he's doing it on Twitch, right? You are silent because the person who has been attacked in any way has begged you to be silent, has said this.
Yeah, I understand that mindset. I still wouldn't do it. I think that you have an obligation to everybody else to protect them from somebody who is a bad actor. And that, to me, is more important than protecting the person who's already been wronged. It's for preventing future victims. Because, so, like, if you, like, let's apply some of this argumentation and this thinking, right? Let's say there's a person, not Doc, but a person who is a, like, I don't know, like like trying to meet up with underage girls, right? And they get banned from that platform, and then they go to another platform, and then they do the same thing. Well, now they've done it to 2, 4, 10 people. So how is it better to create a situation where one person is protected from something that has already happened? How is that better than potentially protecting a dozen other people in the future from that same emotional trauma and that same damage? To me, I don't think it is. It's about protecting the company in this case, not the individual. Yeah, no, that's fine. You can make a company argument, but I don't think, I don't agree with the moral argument. I don't at all. Worked for the Catholic Church? No, it didn't. Because that's like the biggest meme about the Catholic Church. The fact that you're bringing it up means that it didn't work.
This is something I already went through. This is something I already dealt with. I do not want this to go public. So everyone goes, got it. You've been traumatized. Something terrible has happened to you. You don't want this to blow up. So again, if this is true, the reason nobody spoke up about it is not in order to protect the perpetrator.
They have an obligation to their community that supersedes the obligation to that individual, in my opinion. You know, I always look at it as, let's do what's best for the most people. I think that's what's best for the most people. I don't agree. I get it. A lot of people don't agree, but that's the way I see it.
Trader who is probably a piece of shit and is probably now like spread through the whole industry, and most people probably already know who need to know or are in their lives. And the public knowing isn't necessarily going to stop that from happening anyway, is also...
I don't think that's true. And a great example of that is Harvey Weinstein, where everybody knew the guy was a creep, but nobody actually went out with it and contacted authorities, which allowed him to do this bad stuff for decades. And I think that in the case, so this is another, this actually, you know what? This is a great statistic that I can use. I learned this statistic because like I've been involved in like things that are like tangentially related to this, etc. And each person who gets arrested for sexual assault or some form of sexual mal behavior, on average, they have had 5 prior victims before that person gets arrested, or they get charged or held accountable. That's how bad it is. And my perspective is I don't want to make it 6. That's how I see it. And I think that if you look at a lot of the people that everybody kept quiet about publicly, like the celebrities like Diddy, Epstein, Harvey Weinstein, not, by the way, this is in no capacity even close to that, right? It has nothing to do with that. But I'm saying that in the cases where people were protected, it was considered at the end of the day a tremendous moral evil that they were not exposed earlier. I think it is. Cosby, look at another one. Yeah. Everybody asks, well, why didn't anybody speak up?
Part of it that always gets me. But really, it's just the internet will find this person. The person who is the
capitalism doesn't care about morality. The funny thing is that before capitalism was invented, bad things didn't happen.
They will fucking find them. And they will make their life forever a living hell. And so you go, got it. Everyone understands that. We will deal with this privately. Nobody needs to know about it. You protect the person who has already dealt with the really traumatic, shitty thing and is probably like distraught over this whole situation, or like didn't want him to get banned, but didn't have a say in it and is terrified of this dude with his huge platform getting banned because of them. It's basically what this person here is saying. The libel stuff doesn't work because for it to be libel, it has to be untrue. Like I don't know about libel, but if the minor in question didn't want it out in the public, then it's not his place. And if he didn't have any hard concrete evidence, he's open to severe legal issues. He literally respected the sensitivity in private for the alleged victim, which is a good journalistic practice, which I totally agree with. You can 100% know and just not feel fucking comfortable saying anything, because even with all of the evidence in the world, the reality is when people come forward about stuff like this against somebody as big as Dr. Disrespect, they're going to be fucking eaten alive, and you are kidding yourself.
Well, you don't have to have the person come out and say it. Like if Twitch had said this is what happened, they wouldn't have had to name the person. And I think in the case where there are people that are bad actors, like I'm trying to think of has there ever really been a case where somebody has turned out to be a predator or some sort of like sex issue person, and whenever the person came out, there weren't like 3 or 4 other people that also came out within 24 hours? Because that's my expectation for this, is that usually when one person says something, a bunch of other people are saying, hey, wait a minute, what about me? There's like this happened, right? Kevin Spacey, right? Yeah. But think about that's one person. Can of worms. Yeah. Usually whenever one of these things is really true, it's that 5-to-1 ratio that I was talking about.
If you think even innocent until proven guilty applies, it doesn't. No matter what, whatever victim would ever come forward about this is going to be buried. They are going to have their existence on the internet be awful. The worst people ever exist on the internet. So, like, even if they have the most compelling evidence in the world, for the rest of their life, they'll be mocked about it. And that's somebody who's dealt with something that probably really stressed them out already and probably gave them a ton of anxiety already. Like, it just...
I think that it's true. It definitely is true. And it could make that person's life worse. But I think that is a better outcome than allowing a person like that to continue on and continue doing the same thing to people in the future. I think that you are choosing between 2 bad things. But personally, I think that my version of the bad thing is the better moral option. Disagree because it could make them end their lives? Well, that doesn't make any sense. What if he did it to somebody else and then it made them end their life? I don't understand. It's not even a question. So the victim should be forced to speak out? No, but if you have information about it, I think that you're making the right decision if you do.
Evidence, why don't they just come forward? It just seems so dumb to me. They don't come forward because even if they do, and it's the best evidence on the planet, the worst people in the world are still going to abuse them for it forever. Like, it's really messed up to me that we do live in a culture where it is basically straight up, like, not worth it for victims to come forward about this stuff. Like, it is actively worse if the public knows about this kind of thing for the rest of their lives. And in a lot of cases, yeah, I don't think the internet knowing actually prevents the shitty person from making more problems. It might make them like marginally less popular, which is great. You don't want to like...
I think that it absolutely would have. For example, whenever EDP was exposed for being a creep on YouTube, YouTube banned him. Like, that's a good example. Like, he's back. Yeah, he's back. I mean, he's going to keep trying to do it. Of course he is.
You know, have people repeatedly boosting someone who sucks. But even if they're already as popular as Doc is, he's still going to have a ton of fans who don't give a shit. This part, though, is true. Laws exist to protect children. You can't say much. That is true. If Slasher was talking about not feeling comfortable...
I don't agree with this line of thinking at all. And I think the reason why actually doesn't have anything to do with the morality of it, because you can sidestep that entire issue by just saying that something bad happened without giving a specific example of what happened and who it happened to. They didn't have to name the person who it happened to whenever they said that that's what happened. That was never... There's not... It's not like you have to post the logs and post the real name of the person that it happened to, or you can't say anything. You can say that, yes, this happened. We're keeping the information private and confidential, the same as courts do, by the way, for minors. But this is what happened. I don't... That's what they should have done.
That is worth noting, that you do have to be really careful about disclosing information about children, specifically about minors. I studied journalism as part of my degree, and like half of my class failed one assignment because we had to write like this mock news article. The teacher was emailing us updates to the news story in real time as part of an exam that was like an hour and a half long.
Yeah, she wouldn't have been named at all.
One was fake from the police, one was fake from a school, whatever. Like half of the class failed. It might have even been like 75% of the class failed because something happened to a minor and people identified the minor in that they wrote...
But there was never an expectation to identify the minor, and that's, I think, what the difference is that you could say that something bad happened without identifying the individual. That's all there is to it.
A student from this school. They didn't write their name or their age or any of that, but they, instead of just saying a minor, they said this person was from this school. And for most of those people, it would have just been to try to find some like sentence variety to call them a student. But calling them a student identified which school they came from, and thus they all failed. So that is definitely true. But this is it for the most part. There are a lot of reasons not to release a public story involving a minor victim that could be identified. Again, a victim in general, it's so weird to me. But I get, like, if you've never experienced the other side of this kind of thing, that maybe you just hadn't thought of it. I don't know. The truth is just we treat victims like shit. We really, really treat victims like shit. And I'm not saying I haven't seen people be falsely accused. I definitely have. Like, I'm at least sure of one of them. Like, one person who is in the content creation space who...
I don't think there's really a we. I think there's always going to be bad actors. There's, like, people that lie about everything. But if you try to make decisions and if you try to base your behavior around people that are unreasonable or bad actors, I think that you too become unreasonable and become a bad actor. Because then you are now enabling and working in concert with their behavior. Never enable and never allow people that are bad actors to control any narrative.
Was falsely accused. I'm so sure they were. They did redeem themselves just fine. And everybody believed they were falsely accused, but like, that happened.
What do you mean, say something happened? You mean report it to authorities or make a public accusation? What if they're wrong? If I was Twitch and this happened, I would say he was banned for contacting a minor. He knew that she was a minor. We have contacted the authorities. This is all we're going to say about it. That's it. That's literally it. That's all they needed to say. They never needed to have a name. They can't say a minor. They can if he knew that she was a minor. And if he knew that. But what if they couldn't prove it at the time? Then they fucked up by banning him. Pretty simple, right? Then they made the wrong decision. Yeah.
I feel like we exist in a landscape right now where it's not innocent until proven guilty. It's like innocent no matter what, a lot of the time is how it feels. It makes it way
I disagree, because how is that true? But it's guilty until proven innocent with other people like that Connor. And I think it just depends on which side of the fence you're on. because she's right, and also what I'm saying is right. The problem is that the court of public opinion has no obligation to justice. People don't care about what's actually fair or what really happened. They're not looking for evidence. They make up their mind in 10 seconds, and that's it. And most of the people are making up their mind are making it up based off of unresolved past personal trauma. They had some issue with some person, and so they think that every one of these issues is like, you know, some girl has like this bad thing happen, and the guy that did something that she thinks was bad didn't get punished for it. So now every single time some girl says something, she automatically agrees with them. And then you have guys that see other guys, or maybe a guy that got accused of something that he didn't do. And then he sees another guy that gets accused of it, and he said, oh, there's no way he did it. Both of these perspectives are totally fucking wrong because they're based off of something that isn't what's happening. That it's neither of them are based in reality of the situation. It's based off of somebody's, again, past personal unresolved trauma.
Too hostile to speak up about this shit. Now I suspect
yes.
I'm publishing this, you know, the night after it came out, the night after this response. The morning. I expect we'll get a bunch more updates throughout the day of like other people weighing in on if they know about any of this or if they don't. I still don't know if it did happen. I don't know if this is true or not. Accusations
Nobody
like this
does.
can 100% ruin people's lives, just as victims coming forward ruins their lives every fucking time. I don't know. This shit's super messy. I'm sure it's going to continue to get really messy. I think this answer makes a ton of sense. Again, not saying it definitely happened, but it certainly makes shit add up. And I get why people were quiet, and I completely get why the victim didn't come forward. And I hope, for their sake, that we never find out who they are.
I think it's up to them, right? I think it's up to them to identify themselves. But I think that it is up to Twitch to identify that something like this happened. And I think that not doing so is a moral evil. I do. I think it is a moral greater evil. That's my perspective. And I understand, like, I have a very, I'm not a very emotional person, right? I don't have, like, the same type of, like, I guess you can say, like, compassion for, like, oh, well, this is how the person feels. I don't give a shit, right? Like, I only think about what's best for the most people. What's the smartest thing to do? Is this like a form of like social autism or something like that for me? I don't know, maybe, right? But from my perspective, I think it is an instantaneous decision for me that I would immediately go out and say that it happened. I would say that it happened and that, we took action. We're not going to name specifics. We're not going to say anything else, but this is what happened. So yeah, there's the video. I think that she brings up some good points, and I see where she's coming from. I understand that like there's a lot of people that don't see it the way that I do. But that's what I think. It's still a form of compassion. I think that oftentimes compassion and empathy can be a greater evil if they are being used in a way that is what's the best way to say this? That enables further bad behavior. It's like you're not being empathetic or compassionate to somebody by continuing to allow them to damage other people's lives. You're hurting them. So I want to go ahead and there is a bit of a follow-up for this. And so let me see if I can find it. Somebody linked me this. This is Comment Cop. People are calling into question. What do you call it? People are calling into question Cody Evoli. He's the one that originally made the statement about this. And he said, a former employee said Dr. Zerk caught sexing a minor, previously been using this information as an attempt to sell tickets to his shows. Disgusting behavior. So I'll open up the picture here. Open image. Listen, if all 3 dates sell out, I'll tell you why you got banned. This post was made on, I guess, the, you guys can't see it because, like, my thing's covering it. But it's the 14th of July last year. So it was over a year ago. Gamer friends, Slashers coming New York date. I always act out around Rod. If that show sells out, 100% explain why we banned him during the set. And this was, I guess this was, assuming it's the same date thing, it's what do you call it? December 1st. And the reason why is because this one says 14/7, so I would assume it's the same date convention. I think that looking back on it, making a joke about this when you knew what it was definitely is really bad. It's undeniably really bad. There's no justification. It's bad. You shouldn't do it, scummy, right? Do I think that he actually came out with the reason because of this? No, that's ridiculous. Of course not. But I do think that it makes him look really bad. It does. It's actually terrible. Guy's a criminal. I don't think he's a criminal. It's just I think he's just making a joke, right? Who said it was a joke? I don't know. I mean, I just kind of assumed, right? I mean, it's a joke. Like, yeah, it's dark humor. Yeah, I've made worse jokes than this. Like, yeah, it doesn't read like a joke. I've made really, like, if you think this joke is, I've made terrible jokes. So, like, yeah, I don't know. Like, as somebody who is an expert in making horrible fucking jokes, I see this and I'm like, oh yeah, for sure. Not publicity though? Yeah. Still, the credibility of the guy, it definitely hurts his credibility, and he shouldn't have ever put this on there. It was undeniably a bad decision for him to do this, especially knowing the context of it. But I don't think it proves anything else. It just proves that he's an idiot for typing this. That's really it.